we'll also have a glow. So we'll also have a group photo happening later. So if you don't want to be in the photo, feel free to turn off your camera or just let us know and we'll crop you out later for Photoshop purposes. And then, yeah, the second point will be on our guest speaker, Vander, sharing his insight on partnership building. Last but not least, we will have a final Q&A session. So feel free to drop your question in the chat anytime or just unmute yourself to ask a question at the end. So please note that, again, this session will be recorded. So if you have any question or encounter any issues during the session, feel free to reach out to us, which have the blue and green background, anyone in blue and green background. So yeah, kick off with the session if no one have any questions. Okay, cool. So just to kick off a little bit, let me just briefly introduce the session. So the Iconic Global Class Series is a part of the ICON project, which aims to foster connection, collaboration, and a sense of belonging among individuals who share common interests and goals. So this series is hosted by the CCIVS Youth Committee and covers key topics such as partnership buildings and much more, just to help young change makers to drive meaningful global impact. So the global class is structured around the European youth goals, and we developed the session based on participant feedbacks. Since a lot of you mentioned and expressed interest in learning about the international volunteering, youth impact, and collaboration, so we're excited to bring these kind of conversation to you throughout the series. Okay, so before I actually dive into today's topic, so let me just honored to have let me just very quickly introduce our incredible guest speaker with us today, Vander Finotti. So Vander has an extensive background in international cooperation and NGO management, holding a master in political science and international relationship. He has worked as a consultant for youth leadership development in South America, supported NGO expansion, and played a key role in securing millions in funding for social impact projects. So he will be sharing his expertise today on identifying potential funding organizations and building strategic partnerships, which is an essential skill for everyone working or interested in the social impact session. So please join me to give a warm welcome for Vander Finotti. Vander, it's all yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you. I want to start by thanking CCIVS for the invitation. It's really nice to be speaking with CCIVS after meeting CCIVS in IVCO 2023. I want to talk before we dive into a little about myself. I am Vander. I'm from Brazil, specifically from Goiás, that is in the center of the country. I've been in the third sector for a time by now, but I've also been in the sector as a volunteer. I've volunteered in the US, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, and Colombia, as well in Brazil. So part of my experience is also tied to the work that we do on the field. So I think that's one of the difference that we have as me being a person speaking, just not someone speaking, but also someone that has been a volunteer for a couple of years as well. Before we start, I would like us to do a Mentimeter on a couple of things, just to break the ice and then dive in the actual session. I'm speaking a little fast because we have a time frame to fill, but feel free to drop your questions during the session in the chat box, and then at the end we're gonna have a Q&A. So I will give you a couple of minutes to join the Mentimeter. Can you give me a heads up when I can start the Mentimeter as people join? Ready? Okay, let's start with how I am feeling today. 2 minutes. Okay, now where I am from. Also, I am not seeing you, so if anything is happening with the screen, please let me know. Just a reminder. I love that we have someone from the universe. So next one, now is where we start. So when you think about a strong partnership, what does that mean in one word? There is no right and wrong, so just vent out words that comes to your mind when you think about a strong partnership. Cool. Let's go to the other one. How would you define the perfect partner? It can be for a partner for your organization or a partner for yourself. Just what comes to your mind when I say a perfect partner? Again, there's no right and wrong. It's just us venting some words. The interesting fact here is that someone mentioned relationship in the previous one. And when I say it can be a perfect partner for you or for the organization, that's because partnership, it's all about this relationship you're going to have. Finding a partner is basically finding someone to walk together, grow together. So it's really a relationship. And as relationships in life, we have to have the same agreements and the understanding on how things should work. So, okay, thank you for the insights. I will share the word cloud as well with you at the end. Can you see back the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave this screen for the, should I stop sharing and then come back for the photo?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yep. So now we're gonna do the photo for the session and then.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm going to take the group picture together with Raksha. And please, if you feel comfortable to give your beautiful, handsome face, then please turn on the camera. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me count 1, 2, 3, and then, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just check again. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we went through the Mentimeter. So the session today, it's more about the first steps and understanding how to position ourselves in this idea of building bridges for partnerships, or bridges as the concept of partnerships. So here today will be more about understanding how to position yourself or your organization in the partnership strategy, and understanding the first steps, and then going, in fact, in depth about how to do things. So I'm gonna go through some concepts, and some of them we're gonna dive into, but the idea here is just to go through the first steps. The session will be divided into, in the first part, we're gonna understand how do we position ourselves to construct partnerships. And then we go for the basic concepts that we need to have in mind when looking for the partner. After that, the job, it's actually hands-on. So it's not gonna be on this session because it's very specific depending on the type of the partner we want and how to. So the idea here is to do a broad presentation on the very first steps. Okay, so okay, so the very first step is understanding who I am in the world. So we saw that is in this session someone from the universe. So who am I in the universe? Defining your organization and the impact that your organization have is really important. It's basically understanding yourself as an organization or as an activist, as a volunteer, to understand how you want your partnerships to be. So when I ask you about what a strong partnership means, what perfect partner means, it's because you have to look into yourself to see what you want to have from that partnership. This movement is really important because you have to determine your mission and vision to see who has synergy with you. It's very important to do this first step, to, find connections with the other one. As any relationship, you're not gonna find the perfect match. Sometimes you're gonna have the partners that is like 99% of synergy, but there's 1% that they do not like or they do diverge. The idea is to have in mind the priorities and the concepts that you are holding on to. So for me, the perfect partner is the one that trusts me to do my work. This partner can ask me multiple reports, can ask me anything, as long as they trust me to do my job and trust that I am an activist and I am an organization that knows what it's doing. Sometimes the partner that asks a lot of reports, it's not going to be your type of partner. So you need to look into yourself and find yourself first in this process. It's more kind of self-conscious in terms of person and as organization. And it's really important to have that movement, not just as an organization, but also as a professional, as an activist, as a person that will be doing the connections. Because sometimes knowing your flaws and your strengths, we're gonna help you throughout the process. So let's say you work in an organization, you're not the director, you are, I don't know, a coordinator. You do it with yourself and with your director. So sometimes you're gonna see a match in that partner for the organization, but that type of person is not your type to talk to. So you give it to your director because it's a better match. So building partnerships is like unpacking everything about yourself, about your organization, and trying to bridge those things to your potential partner. So sometimes you're gonna have to literally unfold what you do to get to where you want to. The first step that I like to do as a professional is unpacking the beneficiaries of the organization. That means you're gonna pick up some different beneficiaries and you're gonna list things that they are. So this beneficiary is a woman from the LGBT community. She's a young professional. She lives in India. She is Black. You list. Those things will help you to understand who your organization or who your activism is serving to. So this is also some points that will help you to link yourself to potential partners. So sometimes most organizations just go ahead with the big topic and they forget that we live in a society that has multiple layers. Knowing those layers and knowing how to identify those layers is very important. So it's a basic exercise of choosing from your universe of beneficiaries, 2 or 3, and listing things that you think are representing them. Oh, they have a beautiful smile. They're always trying to help. It is anything and everything, and then you have a list of potential layers that you can work on when finding a partner. Then the next step is doing the same thing about your organization. So here I have on the screen, general organization, for example, on LGBT rights. It's an organization on the Global South, right? So Global South, it's a keyword that we can use when finding partners. It works for reducing inequalities. So it's a global goal that we can also connect as a topic with a partner. It works with transgender people rights. So it works with the trans community and also work with trans employability. So employability is also a potential keyword for connection. You know, in the 2 slides, we're unpacking potential keywords, potential information that can connect us with partners. So it's a very simple exercise that helps us to identify potential partners, and then we can go back on the perfect partner and choose from the list that we have right now. Okay, so this is the first step. The very first step is understanding yourself. Then you're going to have to look into your organization, into your priorities, and start doing the job of finding the partners. The next step then is prioritize and map. Prioritizing helps you to act, let's say that. Because when you have your priorities, you're gonna know where to go first. And that's the first thing that you have to do. It's not meaning that, I don't know, in the organization, some projects or programs are less important than others. No, that's not what it means. It means just that sometimes you're gonna have to have an order in order to seek partners. So prioritizing is, after you unfold all those layers, you're gonna choose within the institution, within your programs and projects, what is your priority to go to first. This is really up to the organization, how to prioritize. Here we have some examples. So sometimes your top priority is project A, but project A already has funds. So when you're thinking about fundraising, project A is not priority because it already has funds. But project B, project B is the second in the order, and it has no funds. So then the priority would be project B. You can use time of existence, or you can have the difference between a project and a program. And project is the ones that have a time to start and a time to end, and program is those that work every year, regardless. So maybe you're gonna put all programs first because it's going to happen every year, and then we have the project that have certain periods of time. So you're gonna choose how to prioritize, and you're gonna have that list. Once you have that list, you're gonna map. Mapping means, now that I have what is my priority, that I know who my beneficiary are, I'm gonna find partners that have synergies and have interests on the same topics. And this is important because now you know where to go in terms of understanding better what I want for the organization. And this will give you not just a list of partners, but also going to give the partners a sense that you know what you're doing, because you're going to show them the project, but also you know what you need to do what you do best. And without understanding who are the beneficiaries and who you want to connect with, what are your priorities, the map is going to be just this long list of potential donors. And we don't want that. We want the list to be actual helpful. So it's very important to have this concept in mind. Okay, so now we have the information. It's time to do the hands-on. Here is the thing. Once you have the mapping, you're gonna do 2 steps. One, you're gonna study your competition. Competition is a word that we usually use in the third sector to means other organizations that works for the same cause, but also competes for the same money. So we have the same cause. We work to solve mostly the same problems, but that means that the donors are going to be the same. So it's a cooperation because we fight for the same cause, but it's also a competition because we need the money from the same donors. So studying the competition will give you a first list of donors. So you already have your cause. You already know your beneficiaries. So knowing your beneficiaries layers, knowing your cause, just go to organizations that do the same thing that you do, that work with the same people that you work, and check out their donors. Start from there. You don't need to start from scratch. Oh my God, let me Google. No, just Google other organizations. And if you're an organization that works with a cause, you probably already know other organizations that do the same cause. That's gonna give you the first list of donors. And then with that, the same step that you do for checking their donors will give you an idea of what you do different. Because when you approach a donor that already gives for a cause, I'm sorry, that already gives for a cause, you're gonna have to argue why should they give you money? Because they already give money for the same cause. So understanding the other's job will also give you the idea on how to argue what's your difference. Okay, so then you're gonna have to organize information that you want from the donor. And here is literally create a document for you to have the information. It can be whatever you do it easier. It can be a spreadsheet, it can be a Word doc. It's just a place to collect the information. Some information are mandatory. You're gonna have the name of the organization. You're gonna have the area or topic that they work for, contacts, and website. But some information that I like, I'm also gonna bring for you, and I'm gonna explain the idea behind that. The first other information that I like to bring to that table of donors is the contact temperature. I think that, yeah, it's on the screen, so you get the idea. It's usually measured as hot, warm, or cold. It's created to mean the relation that you have with the contact. So cold is that contact or organization that you do not have ever contacted or that you've done many months, years ago, and they do not really know about your job. So it's cold. Warm, you have talked it before without like recent follow-ups, or someone of the organization knows someone within that institution. So it's halfway. And hot is someone that knows, it's the organization, it's the contact that knows about your organization. You have already talked to, and sometimes you have already pitched it about your organization, and you don't have that much ceremony to just contact back. When digging up for information, other things that I also like to bring is forming of financing, synergy, and average donation. Forms of financing, it's a quick read on their website to learn how they do their financing. It's a letter of invitation. Do I have to contact them first, talk to them, and then receive the invitation for the letter? It's open call. It's just through negotiations, just to understand better how they do their partnerships. Synergy level, it's go back on their reports and check who they have supported, who they have partnered with, to see how much they know about the cause. That's gonna give you the synergy level, because if they already know the cause, it saves you a ton of time. You're just gonna have to explain your work. If they don't, so you're gonna have to work around the pitch to make them understand better why they should partner with you. Every donation, because sometimes it's not gonna be worthy to partner with a potential donor because they do donations way less than we need, and that would mean that we'd have to find multiple donors for the same thing. So sometimes knowing the average donation, it's good. Or let's say you're looking for a partnership and a donation for a project, and the project costs 100K. The donor just gives 10K per year. It's not enough. That means that you're committing with them for a project of 100K and you still need 9K. So it's the counts doesn't end. So yeah. Here, it's my favorite goes to on digging up for information. I have to confess that for me, this screen was the hardest to make because approach in Portuguese have two different meanings. So it was really difficult to break it in this screen. So approach strategy, it's how you're gonna design your strategy to approach the donor. How are you gonna pitch? So you've seen the synergies, you've seen the amount that they donate. Now you're gonna be like writing 2 or 3 phrases just to help you to construct the pitch. So the synergy is that they work with the trans community, focusing on employability. They were trying to expand to Brazil, but they never found an organization. Brazil has these numbers on the trans community. So this is like general phrases and lines on how you can construct your pitch to present to that partner. Contact strategy, on the other hand, will be understanding who you will be talking to and who should be the person representing your organization. So let's say that you were going to speak with a CEO of a pharmacy. If it's a C-level, you might want to have your C-level talking to that person. If it's a coordinator, it can be a coordinator to coordinator. So this is the strategy of how to define who is going to do the first talk. So we're going to talk to a C-level, but we have a member of the coordinator that it's very good friend of the CEO of the pharmacy. So we're gonna put that person. So this is just defining who is going to talk. And here we have some tips. So C-level to C-level. And also here is just from the bottom of my heart tip. If you open a contact, it's a cold contact, someone that you never talk to, someone that is a C-level and they doesn't reply, don't take it to your heart. It's normal. Sometimes you're gonna be ghosted. You're ghosted in real life, you're gonna be ghosted in jobs too, so it's normal. It's totally normal. And sometimes they're gonna reply you in a way that you didn't want to. They're gonna reply, I don't see the synergy. If they say no, fine, just forget. If they say, I don't see the synergy, but we can talk, it's a win-win situation because they gave you the space to show them the synergy. So sometimes people get sad that the donor or the partner don't see the synergy at the same time, but it's our job to show them. So it's a win situation. List of grantees. List of grantees, it's a pro tip. Why? Because one, you're gonna see how you can pitch your differences. And also you can go to them and ask how the partnership is. This is a pro tip because sometimes that donor donates hundreds of Ks for the same organization. At the end of each semester, they ask these horrendous reports. Difficult to do. That takes a lot of time. Sometimes the job of creating the report is even harder than doing the extra project. So talking to who have already received the money might save you from a bomb. So it's really nice too. Okay, so we're walking towards the end. So here I have some tips on how to find partners. Use social media, LinkedIn mostly. You gotta find people there. Sometimes code connections on LinkedIn doesn't work, but can give you a lot of information. Twitter, if we are talking about a US organization, a US potential partner, and the donor's website. Donor's website is really a good go-to if you already have the name of the donor. On the website, you can go on the search bar and search for keywords like conference, event, talk, so that you are going to find where they've been, events they have participated, topics they have talked about. So you can build connection from there. You can identify events to go to. So it's really nice to identify those things at their own website. And also we have some Chrome extensions. My favorite to go to are here. I'm gonna show just one, that is Apollo. Apollo is a extension on Google Chrome to help you to find the contact. So it's gonna help you to find the email and sometimes the telephone from that person. And Crystal, it's one of my favorites. It's an extension that helps you to map the person. Map the person in terms of how the person reacts to information. We start from the bottom up. Crystal, it's an extension that uses AI to filter the profile of the person that you are interested in. And base it on how they post, how they repost, how they write, and who they follow, whatever. It's going to create a map of how you should approach that person. Oh, this person likes more data, like more numbers. This person is more sentimental, so bring story. Also a list of do's and don'ts with that person, and gonna show you how you usually approach people and how that person usually like to be approached in a map. So it's a really Black Mirror extension. Apollo, it's the one that we're gonna give you the extra information, the contact. So it's an extension. We have Honey. It's an extension that after you download and add to your Chrome, it's going to show on the right top with this flower circle. And every time you open LinkedIn, you go to the person profile, you click on it, and it's going to open the tab. I don't know if you can see here. Oh, yeah, you can. So here, you're going to click here, and it's going to open this tab. Usually here is going to show the email. Sometimes, like Honey, it's not going to appear. What I usually do on those situations is, I know that Honey is from CCIVS. So I'm going to go to CCIVS, click on people, and start to stalk people who works on CCIVS, so I can figure out how CCIVS usually structure their emails. So let's say that I work on CCIVS. So my name is Vander Finotti. Usually CCIVS does vander.finotti at ccivs.com. So now I know the structure, I can go back on Honey, create the same structure, and email Honey. So you can use the logic behind it to figure it out. I talk too fast, and English is not my native language, so I might not be understandable, but here is my LinkedIn for connections, also my email and my Twitter. Feel free to reach out, and we still have time for questions.
Thank you so much, Vander, for all the sharings. Oh, someone's coming in. Right. So yeah, it's a really useful framework like where we can utilize in our future partnership potentials. And it's always interesting to know that the first step of building a professional relationship is starting from understanding yourself and your organization instead of jumping right into creating like a potential partner list, as this is something that we tend to actually do in a normal world. So yeah, it's really interesting to know and it's useful. So I hope everyone, like I definitely learned a lot from this session. So I hope everyone also does. But yeah, so for now, due to the time constraint, we'll just open the floor to any questions. So if you have any questions for Vander or in general, just feel free to drop it in the chat or just unmute yourself and ask a question. Ryan said, excellent explanation. Thank you, Vander.
Yeah, for me also, it was super interesting and super practical also, and super clear also. So thank you very much. I think I learned a lot today.
Yeah. Any more questions from anyone from the crowd? If you're too shy to ask in front of the crowd, so you can, I will just also stay behind. So if you have any questions, feel free to just stay behind and ask us directly.
Yeah, I just want to add that I know that it's the idea of a very basic background on partnerships, but the idea here is just to deconstruct this idea that doing partnerships, fundraising, is this really huge and hard thing to do, because it's basically understanding where you position yourself and then how you're gonna go around. And sometimes you don't even need to be on place to find partners. Just to give an example, I went to COP in Dubai without ever being in Dubai, just by stalking people that I knew. There was COP, the Conference of Paris. So I knew who were presenting on the panels. So I got the names and emailed them like, hey, I watched your session. It's so cool. Can we talk? And that's how you open contacts. Sometimes we have this say in Portuguese that is wooden face. That is the face that don't crack. So sometimes you just need that to be that person that's not afraid to just jump in and ask, not literally asking for money right away, but asking for a talk. And it helps. I'm a shy person actually, but for working, I'm not. So
Thanks for sharing. It's interesting. Oh yeah, so we got one question coming in. One of our audience is asking, what is the best way to determine the market reputation of a potential partner?
the what?
The question is, what is the best way to determine the market reputation of a potential partner? I guess the question is more on how do you judge or testify whether the potential target is someone that's right for you or someone have a good reputation or potential to collaborate with.
That's a really interesting question. It's really up to your organization. So as the first step is looking into you, it's also understanding who you do not want to be connected to. So we have these frameworks, usually call it the compliance frameworks. That is the list of things that the potential partner cannot have relation to, so you can approach them. So I've worked to different organizations. Some of our organizations, we had offices in India, for example, and we knew that animals, especially cows, are sacred. So we could not be linked to organizations that would harm those animals, for example. So every organization or companies that would do so would not going to be able to partner with. Nuclear weapons, or so you're going to list things that you don't want to be related to. So if you are a human rights organization, you don't want to partner with a company that it's being sued for slavery, for example. So in the same way that you list things that you see on Perfect Partner, you also list who you don't want to be together with, so you don't harm your reputation. Did that make sense?
I think it does, yeah. Everyone's nodding their head. I think it's really like a detailed elaboration. Thank you for that. Any questions coming in? If not, then oh, sorry. Is there something you want to say?
Just to say that if I know that the person didn't send it direct to you, but if the person wants to connect with me on LinkedIn and ask, I can share a list of things that we usually do. But it's usually we go for the basics. Don't harm human rights, nuclear weapons. In Brazil, gambling is a huge thing. So you go with those topics. I have a list, and I can share.
Great, yeah. If anyone is interested in having the list, feel free to reach out to Vander directly, so he will share more about his knowledge for that. Yep, so I think that is all for our questions. As I mentioned, if you have any question you want to ask Vander or us one-to-one, feel free to stay behind and then just ask your question directly. So yeah, without further ado, again, thank you everyone for joining today's session. It's a really grateful and insightful session for sure, and a special thank you for Vander to sharing his insight with us. So yeah, on one note that we do value feedbacks from every single participant, so feel free to take a moment to fill out our short survey just to help us improve our future sessions. And there will also be a session for you to comment and saying what kind of different sessions or topic you want to explore or understand more. So we will take your feedback into account and then try to create some more meaningful sessions in the future. So yeah, I think Honey just sent out the link for the assessment survey. It won't take more than 5 minutes, so much appreciate if you can fill it in during your free time. So yeah, before we actually wrap up everything, so we would also like to invite you to our next session in the iconic global class series, where we'll be discussing other topics that are closely related to young people. So yeah, that will be all for today's session. Thank you again, and we look forward to see you in the next session.